You're probably using a fraction of your intelligence and you don't even realize it. We tend to live here and we tend to think that our intelligence is here, but our bodies, our nervous system, even the interrelationship with our environment is part of our intelligence. And for most people, they're hanging out here, and most of this other intelligence is unconscious. So modern humans have an over-reliance on rational thinking. And of course, rational thinking is incredibly important. But to a large extent, what the mind is doing is it's interpreting information. It's interpreting the information that's coming from outside of us that we're getting with our senses. It's also sort of in its own loop of understanding. And refining that rational capacity is super important. But if we've turned off, at least to a conscious level, the other aspects of our intelligence, then we're only using a portion of what's possible. The truth is that we've confused thinking with intelligence. So rational thought, which is this incredible tool that we have, is relatively new in our evolutionary process. Previously, and of course there was rational thinking there as well, but in our earlier species context, we were living in different community-based places. We were living with the land, we were living with our ecosystem in a very different way, which required a different kind of embodied intelligence. If you're going to make your way through a forest, if you're going to be relating to a smaller tribe, you have to have this relational capacity online, this sensing ability, this listening to many things simultaneously. It's almost like there's an embodied complex systems intelligence. We're relating to many things that are moving and changing and flowing. It requires a different kind of awakeness in our bodies. Over time, we've moved from this more grounded, embodied place up into our heads, which again, we've got this refinement here, but we've sort of lost connection with the origins of our species, the part of ourselves that feels, senses, is consciously aware that some information is non-linear. It's moving in a way that we can't fully understand just from here. Embodiment is a process by which we're including more of our intelligence. We're including what's happening in our nervous system. We're including our emotions. We're including the sensations that are happening, the fluctuations that are occurring. It's including relational attunement, the sensing of another. Upwards of 80% of our communication with others is actually nonverbal. We're taking micro cues from people's face, the right brain of each individual they're talking. There's lots of information that's happening beyond just the verbal. Embodiment isn't a depletion of our rational intelligence, it's including more of our fluid intelligence. So one of the interesting things that happens when we're focused here and what's happening down here is offline is it's way easier to be cruel to others. An example is you can just look at social media, and when you're not actually sensing, feeling the other person, noticing their responses, it's much easier to be vicious and cruel and not thinking about what it is that you're saying and how it's affecting others. Likewise, if we're not in our bodies and sensing the earth itself, in other words, in connection with that which we came from, it's much easier for us to have an extractive relationship with the planet and in our environment. If we're not feeling what it's like to walk through nature or to feel the planet or to feel the land around us, it's very easy for us to simply take it for granted or make it into simply a resource. Simply said, when you're not feeling, you're not relating. And as soon as we're not relating, it's easy to objectify things. It's easy to make somebody an other that isn't a full human, or to make the planet just material resources. So there is this sense that we can have an embodied ethics. As soon as you're connected with your own nervous system, you will begin to see that there are certain places in your nervous system that needed to go numb or that have shut down because they came into contact with situations that were so outside of healthy ethics that they sort of short circuit. But as you start to unwrap those, as soon as you're able to begin to feel yourself, you're also starting to be able to feel another person. And when you feel another person, it becomes very hard to mistreat them. It's very hard to harm that which you can actually feel. It's much easier to create war, to create violence, to extract from if you're numb and you're only coming from here. This is why embodiment is so essential if we want to create a healthier culture, healthier relationships, and a healthier ecosystem. And then in terms of ingenuity and creativity and navigating the challenges of life, learning to navigate more information and having more of the context of life online is better. If we're only moving from here, we're only getting so much information. If we're widening out and we're beginning to find some aptitude with sensing these other parts of information and our intelligence, then we're going to have a more creative outlook on how to solve problems. We're going to bring more ingenuity into our lives, into our relationships, and into the world. And honestly, in a world where many people, if not most people, are disembodied, being deeply embodied is kind of like a superpower. You're bringing that much more of your awakeness and intelligence into life. This is a kind of power that's also relational. It's power that also takes into account others and the planet and our community.